Look closely at the cockpit of the 1976 Tyrrell P34, and you'll find a detail that makes absolutely no sense. Right next to the driver's knees, there's a clear, perspex window cut directly into the side of the chassis. F1 engineers do not cut holes in structural aluminum for a view. Every gram matters. Every square inch of rigidity matters. But Jody Scheckter and Patrick DePaler needed those windows, because without them, they couldn't see where they were steering. They couldn't see the apex of the corner, because they were sitting behind a mechanical mutation that the sport had never seen before and would never see again. Most people look at this car and assume six wheels were added for pure mechanical grip. Most people are wrong. This wasn't a grip hack. It was an aerodynamic lie. To understand why chief designer Derek Gardner went insane, you have to look at the rulebook of the mid-1970s. Back then, the FIA dictated that the front wing could only be 1.5 meters wide. But standard front racing tires were massive. They jutted out far beyond the width of the wing, acting like two giant, rotating walls of rubber slamming into the oncoming air. They created a massive aerodynamic wake, a wall of drag, and worse, lift. Gardner realized that if he could somehow hide the front tires completely behind the front wing, the air would flow smoothly over the car, unlocking massive straight-line speed. His solution? Shrink them. He ordered bespoke, tiny, 10-inch front wheels from Goodyear. But physics is a cruel master. Shrinking a tire means you shrink its contact patch. If Tyrrell ran just two of those tiny 10-inch wheels, the car would have absolutely zero front-end grip. It would plow straight off the track at the very first corner. So, Gardner did the math. If one tiny tire doesn't give you enough rubber on the road, you don't make it wider. You just add another one. Adding a second front axle sounds simple on paper. In reality, it was a mechanical nightmare. The front four wheels couldn't just sit there, they all had to steer. And they had to steer at different angles depending on the radius of the corner. Gardner designed a complex web of bell cranks, tracking rods, and steering linkages. The steering column connected directly to the frontmost axle, which mechanically cascaded the movement back to the second axle in a flawless, synchronized dance. But the problems were just beginning. Because those 10-inch rims were so small, there was almost no room inside them for brake discs. The tiny brakes Tyrrell engineered were constantly starved of airflow. They trapped heat like a blast furnace. During races, the front brakes would cook themselves, boiling the brake fluid and leaving the drivers praying the car would stop at the end of a 200-mile-an-hour straight. Yet, despite the heat, despite the complexity, and despite the fact that the entire paddock thought Tyrrell had lost their minds, it worked. At the 1976 Swedish Grand Prix at Anderstorp, the madness was vindicated. Jody Scheckter took pole position and drove home to a legendary victory, with his teammate Patrick DePaler crossing the line right behind him. A dominant 1-2 finish for a car with six wheels. Tyrrell finished third in the Constructors' Championship that year. The concept was proven. The future of Formula One looked like it belonged to the multi-wheel monsters. March and Williams immediately started prototyping their own six-wheel projects. But the P34 had a fatal flaw that no amount of engineering genius could fix. It relied entirely on a monopoly. Goodyear was the only tire supplier capable of making those tiny 10-inch fronts. And in 1977, a brutal tire war erupted between Goodyear and Michelin. Goodyear had to pour millions of dollars and every ounce of research into developing standard-sized tires to keep up with the French competition. They simply didn't have the resources to care about one eccentric team running a freak design. While the rear tires got stickier and more advanced every weekend, the tiny front tires were completely neglected. The balance of the car fell off a cliff. The fronts lacked grip, the brakes kept burning, and by 1977, the P34 was a shadow of its former self. Frustrated and beaten by tire development, Tyrrell abandoned the project for the 1978 season, reverting to a standard four-wheel chassis. And before anyone else could truly master the concept, the FIA officially stepped in, permanently writing into the regulations that an F1 car must have exactly four wheels. The six-wheeled era was dead. The Tyrrell P34 remains a beautiful monument to an era when the rulebook was a canvas, not a cage. It proved that in the pursuit of speed, no idea was too wild, no layout was too complex, and sometimes the most brilliant engineering solutions are the ones hidden right behind a tiny piece of clear plastic. Thank you for watching.